Last week, our I-team looked into if gang activity was driving the violence in Birmingham as the city was grappling with record-breaking homicides. We want to know what you think. Is violence in Birmingham driven by street gangs? Scan the QR code on your screen right now to vote in our poll. And tonight, we are looking at what's being done to address gang activity and violent crimes. ABC 3340's Valerie Bell is working for you to learn what resources are being used and how local, state, and federal partners are addressing the concerns.
Last week, Steve Skipper shared his experience about spending some of his teenage years in a gang. He believes that people in that lifestyle can turn their lives around like he did 50 years ago.
A lot of those guys out there and a lot of the girls that are with them, they're tired of that lifestyle and they're looking for an alternative.
Skipper says the solution comes from finding purpose.
That's what happened to me. That was a bold young man that had just become a Christian that walked up to me with a gun in my waist and told me that I needed Jesus Christ in my life. And that's the very thing that's going to happen now.
In a statement from the Birmingham Police Department, in part, says it continues to prioritize resources to prevent violence, particularly among youth, and remains dedicated to fostering a safer environment for all residents. Also noting the collaborative effort between local, state, and federal partners. U.S. Attorney for the Northern District, Prim Escalona, says these partnerships are vital.
We really want to focus on the most violent offenders, and so it's always a process with working with our state and local partners and seeing which cases are appropriate to take federally and which cases are more appropriate to prosecute at the state level.
When it comes to prosecuting gang members at the federal level, Escalona says many gangs in this area tend to be more loosely organized.
Certainly, if we have one of those situations, we would use federal statutes like RICO or VICAR in those charges. However, a lot of what we see is a more loosely affiliated, what we would refer to as a street gang, that's more fluid in its membership and in its structure. And so in those instances, sometimes those gang statutes are not the most effective at the federal level. So that's when we rely on other statutes like the firearm statutes or a Glock switch or a drug statute.
The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, has also played a pivotal role in assisting local police with violent crime investigations.
How does ATF approach firearms trafficking in the city of Birmingham, and what impact has that had on reducing illegal weapons that get in the hands of either gang members or prohibited persons?
So ATF's approach is holistic, whether it is within the city of Birmingham, or again, as I said, as a federal agency, this is just the mission of ATF across the country.
ATF's Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Tyra Cunningham, explains from its role there's two strategies. In the short term, it uses a system called NIBIN. That stands for National Integrated Ballistics Information Network. It's a tool that provides an investigative lead in roughly 24 to 48 hours.
This system is able to tie whether that firearm through its casings has been used in other shooting incidences really around the city, the state, and even if the analysis calls for it, around the country.
Cunningham also spoke to the long term, utilizing E-Trace, which helps identify gun traffickers, potential suspects, and patterns of violent crime. E-Trace traces back where the firearm came from.
Knowing that portion of it, again, allows us to see, okay, this is where it legally entered commerce, and then we can investigate backwards to see at what point did it become involved in a shooting incident. The time to the first shooting is what we call it, the TFS.
This information is shared with local detectives too. In a statement from the FBI Birmingham, it emphasizes a focus on serving as a force multiplier to local, state, and other federal law enforcement partners to investigate and eradicate violent street gangs. The statement goes on to say through programs such as the Safe Streets Task Force, the FBI assists partner agencies by sharing resources, manpower, and gang intelligence and information. At the state level, the Alabama Gang Prevention Act took effect in 2023, implementing harsher penalties for those part of a gang or criminal enterprise. For Skipper, he believes this isn't something that can be legislated out of their hearts. He says the answer is religion and reaching out to these people the same way someone did for him.
I think people are so afraid that they think that something bad is going to happen to them, but they don't realize these are human beings that have something in their lives that triggered, them to go in a bad direction.
In Birmingham, Valerie Bell, ABC 3340 News.
And you can watch last week's story on gangs by going to the ABC 3340 YouTube page. If you have a story that needs investigating, our team is ready to get answers. Email us at iTeam@abc3340.com or call us at 205-783-5550 and leave a message.